In the misty hills of Maine, there lies an abandoned estate with a history so dark that even the locals refuse to speak of it. Blackwood Manor, once a symbol of wealth and prestige, now stands as a decaying monument to tragedy and unspeakable horrors. What secrets are hidden within its walls? And why does anyone who dares enter never leave the same? Today, we uncover the truth behind Blackwood Manor, a story of obsession, betrayal, and a legacy of terror that refuses to die. The tragedy of 1927. Blackwood Manor was the jewel of Maine's elite. Built in the late 1800s by industrial magnate Thomas Blackwood, the estate boasted sprawling gardens, intricate Gothic architecture, and a lavish ballroom that hosted society's most exclusive events. But its grandeur was overshadowed by its tragic end. On a stormy night in 1927, the entire Blackwood family vanished without a trace. The servants, the children, even Eleanor Blackwood, Thomas's reclusive widow, were never seen again. The only clue was a bloodied handprint smeared across the grand mirror in the foyer. Rumors ran wild. Some claimed Eleanor had gone mad and murdered her family before taking her own life. Others whispered of a dark ritual gone wrong. Whatever the truth, the manor was abandoned, left to decay as nature reclaimed its walls. Decades later, it became a local legend, a place teenagers dared each other to enter but rarely did. The manor's silence was its loudest warning. Leave Blackwood's secrets undisturbed. The manor's new owners. Claire Morgan stood at the edge of the overgrown driveway, staring up at the imposing silhouette of Blackwood Manor. The wind howled through broken windows, carrying with it an eerie wail. "It's perfect," she said, clutching Ben's arm. "Perfectly creepy," he muttered, kicking a loose stone. Claire, a journalist obsessed with uncovering forgotten histories, had always dreamed of finding a story that could define her career. When Blackwood Manor went up for auction, she knew it was fate. "Think of the book," she said, nudging Ben. "The untold story of the Blackwoods. People eat up this kind of mystery." Ben wasn't convinced. "Let's just hope the floors don't collapse while we're sleeping." Whispers in the dark. Their first night in the manor was unsettling. As Claire unpacked in the dusty library, she swore she heard the faint sound of piano keys tinkling from the ballroom. "Ben," she called, but her voice echoed back. When she entered the ballroom, it was empty save for a grand piano covered in cobwebs. One of the keys was pressed down, as if someone had just played it. "Must be the wind," she told herself, though she wasn't convinced. Eleanor's journal. Days later, while sorting through the clutter in the attic, Claire discovered a leather-bound journal hidden in an antique trunk. The name Eleanor Blackwood was embossed on the cover. The entries began innocently enough, detailing Eleanor's grief after her husband's death. But as Claire read on, the tone grew darker. Eleanor wrote of strange dreams, of voices calling to her from the mirror in the foyer, and of a growing obsession with an artifact her husband had acquired. A black mirror said to grant immense power at a terrible cost. "I must protect it," Eleanor wrote, "even if it means losing everything." The mirror's power. Claire's fascination with the journal grew, but Ben became increasingly irritable. He spent hours staring into the foyer mirror, mumbling to himself. "Are you okay?" she asked one evening. "Just tired," he replied, avoiding her gaze. That night, Claire dreamt of Eleanor, her face pale and hollow, standing in the attic. "You shouldn't have come here," she whispered. "The mirror knows you." The mirror's influence. The days in Blackwood Manor became increasingly unsettling. Ben's behavior took a darker turn. He seemed distracted, distant, and prone to sudden fits of anger. One evening, Claire caught him standing in front of the foyer mirror, his reflection slightly distorted. "Ben," she called. He didn't answer. When she approached, he turned abruptly, his eyes shadowed. "What?" he snapped. "You've been staring at that mirror for hours. What's going on?" Ben shook his head as if clearing a fog. "Nothing. It's nothing." He walked away, leaving Claire alone with the mirror. For a moment, Claire thought she saw movement in the glass, something behind her. She spun around, but the foyer was empty. The hidden room. Determined to understand the growing tension in the house, Claire continued reading Eleanor's journal. One entry mentioned a secret room hidden beneath the manor, accessible only through a panel in the library. After hours of searching, she found it. Behind an old bookshelf was a narrow staircase leading to a hidden chamber. The room was small, its walls covered in faded occult symbols. In the center stood an altar, and on it, the black mirror Eleanor had written about. The mirror pulsed faintly, as if alive. Claire felt a strange pull toward it, a whispering in her mind urging her to touch it. She resisted, backing away, but not before noticing something chilling. Her reflection lingered in the glass even after she turned away. Ben's possession. Claire confronted Ben that night. "There's something wrong with this house, and with you. You've been acting strange ever since we got here." Ben laughed, but it wasn't his usual laugh. It was deeper, colder. "You're imagining things, Claire. Maybe you should leave." His words stung. "Leave? You're the one acting like a stranger." "I'm fine," he said, his voice flat. "But you? You're digging into things that should be left alone." Claire's heart raced. This wasn't the Ben she knew. Something, or someone, was influencing him. Visions of the past. That night, Claire dreamt of the Blackwoods. She saw Eleanor standing in front of the mirror, chanting in a language Claire didn't understand. Behind her, shadows writhed like living smoke. Suddenly, the mirror cracked, and a dark figure emerged. A twisted amalgamation of human and beast. Eleanor screamed as the figure consumed her, and the vision ended with the sound of shattering glass. Claire woke up drenched in sweat. "It's the mirror," she whispered to herself. "It's the source of everything." A cry for help. Desperate for answers, Claire contacted a local historian, Dr. Evelyn Graves, who specialized in occult artifacts. When Evelyn arrived at the manor, she immediately sensed the oppressive energy within. "This place is steeped in dark magic," Evelyn said. "The mirror isn't just cursed, it's a prison for something ancient and evil." Evelyn explained that the Blackwoods had dabbled in rituals meant to summon wealth and power, but they underestimated the artifact's true nature. "The mirror feeds on souls," she warned. "The more you interact with it, the stronger it becomes." The manor's true purpose. Evelyn's research uncovered a horrifying truth. Blackwood Manor was built as a vessel for the mirror's power. Every room, every corridor, was designed to amplify its influence. "The Blackwoods didn't vanish," Evelyn said. "They were consumed. And if we don't act quickly, you and Ben will be next." Claire felt a surge of fear and determination. "What do we do?" "We destroy it," Evelyn replied. "But it won't go quietly. The ritual begins." The plan was dangerous. Evelyn would perform a ritual to sever the mirror's connection to the physical world, while Claire kept Ben away. But as the ritual began, the manor came alive. Doors slammed shut, windows shattered, and the air grew thick with whispers. Claire struggled to keep Ben restrained as he fought against her, his eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "You can't stop it," Ben roared. "It's too late." The entity unleashed. Just as Evelyn neared the ritual's climax, the mirror shattered, releasing a wave of dark energy. From the shards emerged the entity Claire had seen in her dreams. A grotesque figure of shadows and smoke, its eyes burning with malice. Evelyn screamed, Her body lifted off the ground as the entity attacked her. Claire watched in horror, unable to move. But then she remembered Eleanor's journal. One entry had described a failsafe, a phrase that could banish the entity back into the mirror. Claire grabbed the journal and began chanting. The final confrontation. The entity turned its attention to Claire, its voice echoing in her mind. "You are one of us," it hissed. "You cannot destroy me." But Claire refused to stop. She chanted louder, her voice shaking as the entity writhed and screamed. With a final, deafening roar, the entity was pulled back into the mirror. The room fell silent, and the shattered glass dissolved into ash. The twist. Claire thought it was over, until she saw her reflection in a nearby window. It wasn't her. The face staring back was Eleanor's. Evelyn, battered but alive, gasped. The mirror didn't just trap the entity, it needed a host to maintain its power. "Claire, it chose you." The legacy continues. Blackwood Manor was abandoned once again, but Claire couldn't leave. Trapped within its walls, she became the new guardian of the mirror's curse, her soul bound to the house forever. Locals speak of seeing her silhouette in the windows at night, her voice whispering warnings to those who dare approach. And the mirror? It waits, biding its time until the next unsuspecting soul awakens its power. Blackwood Manor stands as a chilling reminder of the dangers of delving too deeply into the unknown. Its halls may be empty, but its curse lives on. Some mysteries are better left unsolved, and some doors should never be opened. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. Stay curious, but tread carefully. This is Values of the Past. Until next time.
Thank you for watching this episode from the Lures of the Past. If you enjoyed this journey into mystery and intrigue, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when our next tale from the past goes live.